Republicans, for 14 years plus, they have been complaining about Obamacare. They've been wanting to repeal Obamacare. In fact, McCain, before he died, was the savior of Obamacare as we know it, and the savior of Republicans and Democrats alike. Had he not voted down that, we would have had the destruction of Obamacare with nothing to replace it with. Well, after the pandemic, or during the pandemic, the Biden administration passed laws that allowed temporarily for low-income people to get to get their Medicaid, so that they could get saved, if you will, health care. Well, it expires this weekend, and now there's a possibility that 15 million Americans are going to lose their coverage. Republicans, again, decade after decade, been talking about having a better healthcare system, a healthcare system that works, but have never been able to provide a system. Obamacare was the closest. Notice what I'm going to say here. Obamacare has been the closest to come to something Republicans should have accepted, because Obamacare is a Republican-based bill. Obamacare is a conservative healthcare bill, not based on the efficiency of the healthcare system, the efficiency of a single-payer system, the efficiency of getting private sector out of paying a healthcare bill, which they provide no innovation for doing so. Again, Obamacare is a conservative implementation of healthcare insurance. Nothing more, nothing less. And they went against it because it was placed into power by whom? Obama. Now they still want to repeal it. Well, you know who has a message for them? Their good older time conservative, Joe Scarborough. Listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
This weekend, state officials around the country can start removing people who no longer qualify for Medicaid. During the pandemic, states received additional federal funding in exchange for allowing low-income people to continue receiving health care coverage, even if they no longer are qualified for it. About 90 million people benefited from this. That's more than 1 in 4 Americans. Now that the provision has expired, the federal government estimates about 15 million people could lose coverage.
You know, Mike Barnacle, it is really remarkable. It's been remarkable if you look through the years at the number of uninsured Americans that don't have health insurance. It's remarkable the changes that have taken place since the Affordable Care Act in 2010. As a bill, this bill was, of course, roundly criticized by the right. Also, though, a lot of people on the left very suspicious of what's been known now as Obamacare. But you just look at the numbers of insured Americans and, more importantly, the declining number of uninsured Americans. By that very important measure, Obamacare has been a remarkable success.
What's remarkable also, Joe, is from the inception of this to its passage, which was, in the words of Joseph R. Biden back then, a big blank deal.
Big deal.
Okay.
That the other political party in this country, the Republican Party, has thus far fought it every inch of the way, still fighting it every inch of the way, without proposing an alternative to it. All these years have passed, and millions of Americans have now become insured health-wise. They have health insurance for the first time in their lives. But again, the dissembling of government, the lack of initiative on the part of the Congress, because it's so divided. We have a failure of the CHIPS Act, childhood health programs, things like that. So there are a lot of children who will now go without health insurance, and people on the verge of losing their health insurance in various states because they didn't sign on to the Medicare stuff. I mean, this country is backwards in terms of the way it insures people compared to several other civilized nations. We are not in the lead in this, and we fail too many people. Still, the Obamacare Act was a huge success.
And we've been making great progress because of that. It does bear repeating and underlining what Mike just said. For 14 years, Republicans have been opposing this and have been promising that they would provide an alternative for 14 years. And for 14 years, doing nothing but just reflexively opposing Obamacare, they have not provided an alternative. I mean, there are a lot of legitimate concerns about Obamacare that have come from the left, that have come from the right. But if you don't have an alternative, you know, it's like the old Ted Turner
People
quote.
definitely want it.
Lead, follow, or get out of the way. Well, yeah, I'm with that on this one. If you don't have an alternative that's going to ensure Americans and the truly disadvantaged, get out of the way.
You don't have a solution? Get the hell out of the way. Because you know what? Americans are dying. And the fact that we are going to lose the lower income people and many people in the middle class and many people in general are going to lose their health care this weekend. America should be ashamed that a rich country will treat its underclass, a class that the Federal Reserve chair says in order for us all to have low inflation, in order for us to have low interest rates, we need to keep an underclass. So we need to fire 2 more million Americans if we are to get our economy right. Think about an economic system predicated on horrendous health care. Think about an economic system predicated on having to have a less than optimal unemployment rate. That is shame. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.